Hi, everybody. How are we all doing today? Waiting for some people to join us. Everybody's okay with that? We'll stick around for a minute or five. Here we go. Hi, Christelle. Hi, Connie. Justin. Barnard. And Barnard's note taker, I should add. Okay, so we're in our April edition of the Alumni Series. Today we're talking goals and goal setting. Let's see who else is coming in. Alec, how's it? Hi, Heather. Welcome. See you again.
Hi, Sean.
Here you go. So we know the microphones work. That's always good news. I'm going to give it another minute or two as people join. We're now up to 9 folks in the room. It's always nice. Everybody's cool. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes, okay? We're at 15:31. As everybody can hear, the microphones are working, so feel free to contribute verbally or otherwise. Love reactions. Certainly you should raise your hand if there's something you want to add. Hi, Wendy. Welcome.
Hi, Sean.
You fancy meeting you in a place like this, right?
Can you believe it?
Hey, Tanya, how you doing? And Lanisha. Ooh, wow, this is cool.
Hi, Sean. No, we're well, thank you.
That's good news. All right, just to remind everybody, the microphones are working. You can certainly raise your hand if you want to. A little bit of chaos always works for me, as everybody who's ever been trained by me knows. So don't be shy. I like it to be as interactive as possible, so feel free to react. Raise your hand, ask a question. I'll endeavor to do that as we go along. For those of us that don't know me, I'm going to kick off now. For those of us that don't know me, my name is Jean Barnard. I'm a sales trainer for the Sales Institute. I've been doing this for about 4 years, but I've been a salesman for 40. So I classify myself as a grizzled old salesman. I've sold everything from retail to big business, big corporates. I've sold IT, I've sold printing, I've sold beds. Let me think, what else? Pretty much anything you can think of, including something esoteric like polystyrene for insulation. So most of the things that you guys are going through, I've either been through or have gone through at some point in my life, or I know somebody who has. Today I'll be talking about goals and goal setting. And the reason I'm talking about that is because it's something that often gets lost in the sales training environment. And what we find ourselves doing is spending way too much time running around trying to make sales without realizing that having a goal and having an aiming point in mind can help us. I'm going to switch over to the presentation now. I just want to see something quickly. Okay. For some reason, Edson couldn't get in. Welcome, Edson. All right. So let's share goals and goal setting. Can everybody see my screen? I need somebody to put their mic on and say yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, here we go. Goals and goal setting. What's it all about? What are we going to talk about? Oops. Well, first of all, we're going to define our goals, what goals are. We're going to talk about creating what you want. Concept that's taught to me when I was a young salesperson. Anybody that's been trained by me will know the little narrative that I have. When I was young and sexy and still had hair. We're going to talk about being thoughtful and careful in setting our goals. And also we're going to talk about using all your senses. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about start small, but start and do it today. So how do we define goals? What is a goal? Goals are a dream with a deadline. The goal without a plan is just a wish. We all have wishes. How do we achieve those wishes? Goal without a plan is just a wish. I found a rather exciting, well, not an exciting clip, an inspiring clip by a gentleman called Matthew McConaughey, who you may have heard of. He was giving a presentation to a bunch of people that had just graduated, and they were about to go through the graduation ceremony. And this is what he had to say about goals and goal setting. See if I can make him play. Oh, there's something I didn't do. There is something I didn't do. Let's go to stop sharing for a second and include sound. That's probably a good idea. What do you think? That one? Everybody still see the screen? Somebody say yes. Here we go.
I'm going to talk to you about some things I've learned in my journey. Most from experience, some of them I heard in passing, many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. So the question that we've got to ask ourselves is what success is to us, what success is to you. Is it more money? That's fine. I got nothing against money. Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place than you found it. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now, your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize your soul. Prioritize who you are, who you want to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill? But first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape.
So that's what goals and goal setting is all about. Define what's important to us. How do we create what we want? So first we're going to examine how to set appropriate goals and to create an action plan. Again, remind ourselves what goals are. And I don't know how many of you have come across this before, and if you want to put a hands up or tell me if you've come across this idea around goal setting. Who's seen smart goals? Who understands that concept? Anybody? Anybody get it? Anybody seen it before?
Yes. Yep.
All right. Most often used when we are talking about our company goals, right? Okay, most of us, all of us salespeople, at some point were working towards a number, a target. Okay, and that's the first goal that we're exposed to as salespeople. We've got to go out there and sell X amount. If we don't get to keep our jobs. That's awesome. What happens if the goal or the target that's put before us is not something we believe we can achieve? What happens then? Well, we lose interest. We stop trying very hard. Okay, because we don't believe we can achieve it. However, if we use this system and we work it out and we plan it out right, maybe we can. That said, we can't have our target as our only sales goal or our target as our only personal goal. And if you're going to set goals, you need to be smart, right? First of all, it needs to be specific. The sales target is specific. It says you've got to achieve X amount of money revenue or X amount of profit by the end of the financial year. So it's specific. It needs to be measurable, attainable, relevant, and absolutely time-based. So let's talk about those smart things in detail. SMART goal describes a specific observable outcome. whether it's a car, a holiday, a career move, or whatever. What am I going to get? What am I going to achieve as a result of this target? And does my goal clearly describe the outcome? If it doesn't, it's not a goal. It's a wish. It's got to be measurable. So your outcomes or end results in a qualitative or in quantitative terms. In other words, you've got to know what it is that you're achieving. Now, again, financial target's easy, right? It's X amount of money by X amount of time. Can the result be easily defined and measured? If it can't, why are we doing it? Can I check and observe my progress and verify the outcomes? If I can't, it's not a goal. Can the limits and parameters of the goals be defined? How will I know when the target is met? Now, again, the reason I keep talking about commission, or more accurately turnover, or however you measure your sales target, is because all of those things are pretty much true. And you can use that process to define the other goals that you want in your life. Like Matthew says, happy family, a motor car, money, whatever. It needs to be attainable. It needs to be within reach. So what do we do when we're sitting with not being able to pay our rent every month? We can't put enough food on the table. There's too much month at the end of our money. Okay. What is our goal? Can we achieve financial independence, for example? Do we have the required skills? Do we have the resources to get out of that mess? And we have to believe that it's realistic. So in other words, saying, I want to be a millionaire in 3 years' time might not be realistic or reasonable. You've got to believe that you can do it. Maybe it is reasonable, given where you are right now. If it isn't, it's not a goal. I want to win the lottery. It's not a goal. How difficult will it be to achieve this goal? What would prevent this goal from being achieved? What could stop it? Well, you could be laid off, for example. Is it realistic in terms of my knowledge, experience, and skills? And or what resources will I need to achieve the goal? Is it within my control? I'm going to come back to that statement in a bit. It has to be attainable. It's got to be relevant. As Matthew says, it's got to be relevant to who I am and what I want to become. Does it make sense? Will it address my needs? Why is it important to me? Smart goals need to be time-based. Target dates, frequencies, deadlines, milestones if you like. Is then end date a deadline and or a milestone for the result? How long will it take to achieve this goal? Are there progress review checkpoints? Those are the things we want to think about when we're setting goals. Now, this is a wonderful model to follow because it keeps us honest. All right? Let me tell you a little bit about a little boy from the West Rand. West Rand, for those of us that don't know, is the west side of Johannesburg. Okay, Roodepoort, Krugersdorp, pretty much a dormitory cities that fed into Joburg in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. He was born to grandparents that were, the grandmothers were stay-at-home moms. The grandfathers, one was a police constable and the other one was a fisherman. His parents were both bank clerks. He went to absolutely public school on the West Rand, and he fell into sales purely by accident, which is true for a lot of us, because he had a bit of an ego, and he was a little charismatic, and he liked to talk a lot. So everybody thought that sales might be a good second choice career for him. So he went into it. Well, sales took him overseas. Sales exposed him to some of the best hotels, the best restaurants to be had in South Africa. Sales allowed him to learn how to speak, allowed him to contribute to society. And luckily, he was a bit of a student of sales. And when he was young and sexy enough, he was exposed to a sales training program that included goal setting. And for him, this is something he'd never even thought about before. Now, we should note this. He was 9 years into his career by then. Been a salesperson for 9 years, not having a lot of success until he went on that sales course. And then nobody taught him about SMART goals, but they did teach him about goal setting. Sales gave him all of those things, and he's had 2 career changes along the way. So I know this works, because guess who the little boy from the West End was? Just remember that you can come from anywhere and achieve great things, depending on what those things are. Did he make some mistakes along the way? Yeah, pretty much. Did he have some goals that when he actually achieved them, they weren't worth achieving in the first place? Yes, because he didn't have the help of Mr. McConaughey to help him figure out that he couldn't give up his goal, his soul shouldn't give up his soul along the way. So does goal setting work? Of course it does. I'm living proof of that. And I would urge you to start thinking about what it is you want out of life and start setting realistic SMART goals to achieve them. Here's what else Mr. McConaughey had to say.
Where you are not is as important as where you are. It is just as important where we are not as it is where we are. Look, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am, I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step's usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. You know that group of friends that you hang out with that they really might not bring out the best in you? You know, they gossip too much or they're kind of shady. They really aren't going to be there for you in a pinch. Or how about that bar that we keep going to that we always seem to have the worst hangover from? Or that computer screen, right? The computer screen that keeps giving us an excuse not to get out of the house and engage with the world and get some real human interaction. How about that food that we keep eating? Stuff that tastes so good going down, it makes us feel like crap the next week. We feel lethargic and we keep putting on weight. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. I mean, put them down. And when you do this, when you do put them down, you quit going there, and you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time and in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Why? Because you just eliminated the who's, the where's, the what's, and the when's that were keeping you from your identity. Like, trust me, too many options, I promise you, too many options will make a tyrant of us all. All right, so get rid of the excess, the wasted time. Decrease your options. If you do this, you will have accidentally, almost innocently, put in front of you what is important to you by process of elimination. Knowing who we are is hard. It's hard. So give yourself a break. Eliminate who you are not first, and you're going to find yourself where you need to be. Instead of creating outcomes that take from us, let's create more outcomes that pay us back, fill us up, keep your fire lit, turn you on for the most amount of time in your future. We try our best, we don't always do our best. Well, architecture is a verb as well. And since we are the architects of our own lives, let's study the habits, the practices, the routines that we have that lead to and feed our success, our joy, our honest pain, our laughter, our earned tears. Let's dissect that and give thanks for those things. And when we do that, guess what happens? We get better at them. And we have more to dissect. Be discerning. Choose it because you want it, Do it because you want to. We're going to make mistakes. You got to own them. Then you got to make amends. And then you got to move on. Guilt and regret kills many a man before their time. So turn the page, get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life. Where you are not.
There you go, folks. What do you think? Love to see thumbs up, responses, whatever you want to say. I certainly hope that it's given you food for thought. Thank you. Thanks, Christelle. Okay. Sorry, there's something going on. Oh, in the chat. That's fine. All right. As you can see, I'm on my own today, so I'm trying to do 15 things at the same time. And as you know, if you know anything about men, you'll know that that's not working out well for me. I want to talk about the goal wheel. This is something I was taught after I'd set a couple of goals for myself and then found out that it doesn't work terribly well when you don't do the right thing. The goal wheel is something I would urge you guys to think about in terms of when you set your SMART goals, that you consider all the goals in your life, whether it's finance, your family, your community, your career, your spiritual health, your health, any hobbies you might have. You know, we talk a lot about work-life balance. Now, in my experience, there is no such thing as work-life balance. Not if you're looking at it day by day. But we should strive to make sure that the goals we set cover all areas of our life. In other words, we first define what success is for us. What does it look like? Think about the people you know, and you know these people that have given up a family life for a career, or given up a career for money, or given up their spiritual well-being. They lost their souls because they decided to give too much to the community. They gave up their health for money. So what this wagon wheel taught me and reminds me of is that, yes, for a while, you can emphasize your career. But what happens then is the spoke that is your career gets longer. And something else needs to get shorter. You've got to give up something. And you can do that for a while, especially when you're young, right? But now your wagon wheel is out of balance. And that will work for a while. Absolutely work for a while. But what happens to a wagon wheel that has one long spoke and two short ones? It'll still roll, but it's going to roll with difficulty, and eventually it'll break. And you're the center of this wagon wheel. Guess what gets broken? Okay. So when you do set your SMART goals, please think about the other areas of your life that you need to keep in mind, whatever they are. And I've given you two blank spokes for you to fill in whatever you like. The things that I didn't think of. And always remember that one person or those two or three people you've known in your life that have had to give up some stuff to get some stuff. And whether you would make the same choices. Love my wagon wheel. Tell me if you like it. I've titled this slide, Be Thoughtful and Be Careful. When you're setting a goal, any goal, especially a worthwhile goal, understand that it has a price. There's always a price. It's not always money, though. So what are you prepared to pay to achieve what you want out of life? Part of it absolutely is saying, I'm not going to spend an hour on Facebook every day. Guilty as charged. Right? I'm not going to go drinking every night. Or I'm not going to mix with these people because they don't do anything for me. They suck my energy. What happens if those people are your family, members of your family? What are you prepared to pay to achieve what you want out of life? And here's an important one. Anybody heard of the precession effect? So what? We're salespeople, right? We're achievers, right? We go for our targets, right? Okay, we focus on the money, right? Well, guess what? Precession says that if we remember that our goal is actually not to hit our target. Our goal is to help people. Sales and selling is about change. Change for the benefit of your customer. The more you help your customer, the easier it becomes to achieve your goal. Precession. Has everybody heard of Dr. Phil? Oprah? Anybody? Hands up, thumbs up, whatever. All heard of Dr. Phil? Do you know Dr. Phil's story? Dr. Phil got to know Oprah because she was involved in a court case with beef producers in Texas, because she'd said that once she found out that beef was being ground up and being fed back to cattle, she would back to eat a hamburger again. And being Oprah, that was a big deal. So the beef, what shall we call them, manufacturers, farmers, sued her. And along the way, she found that she needed a psychologist advice. So she approached Dr. Phil. Now, his only thought when that happened, obviously he was being paid for it, his only thought when that happened was to be of service to Oprah. And that included giving her some hard facts when she didn't really want to hear them. And remember who Oprah is, right? She's surrounded by people that tell her that everything she says is wonderful. At any rate, the upshot of that, because of his focus was on helping Oprah, of being of service to Oprah, she invited him onto her show. And ultimately, he got his own show. How's that for precision? His intent was to help. In our achieving of our goals, we need to stay focused on helping other people achieve theirs. Through our products, through our services, through our caring. We're selling from the heart. Heart's the side. Selling from the heart, not hard selling. How does that resonate for everybody? Useful? I hope so. Don't forget the precision effect. The more you help other people, the more you get what you want. I want to tell you another little story, because it questions what happens after you achieve your goal. There's a swimmer whose name escapes me. I did look for it, but I couldn't find it. She was a very focused young lady. She decided, was she a swimmer? No, she wasn't. She was a diver. She decided at the age of 10 that she wanted to go to the Olympics as a member of the American diving team. So for 8 years of her life, she worked out when she could go. 10 years, she was 10 years old when she watched an Olympic event on TV. She decided she wanted to do the diving thing. So she worked for the next 8 years to achieve her goal. Flat out. Gave up everything. Boyfriends, time, absolutely committed to achieve her goal of going to the Olympics and winning gold. Of course, if you're that committed to something and you work that hard at it, eventually she achieved her goal. She was 18 when she made it to the Olympics, and she did win gold. And she stood on that stand waiting for a medal, crying. Everybody thought she was crying with joy. She wasn't. She was crying because she was terrified. Because because she'd never thought beyond this point. And she had nothing in mind for after. After she achieved her gold medal, she went into depression because she had lost a reason for living. She'd achieved her goal. Now what? Don't be that person. Goals must be achievable by you and only you. An example, you cannot set a goal for your children. You cannot set a goal for your husband. You cannot set a goal like, I want to be sales manager of XYZ company by age 28. Why not? Because you being appointed sales manager requires the actions of somebody else. What you can say is, I want to be qualified and in a position to be appointed sales manager by age 28. Goals must be achievable by you. Oh, my favorite one. Goals should not be in conflict with other goals. Okay, for example, my early years when I was at university, I wanted to be an actor. Can you imagine? Yeah, I did. The face you have at 18 is genetics, kids. The face you have at 65 is your own damn fault. I wanted to be an actor in South Africa in the 70s, but I also wanted to be a family man in the 70s. In South Africa, you could not be both at the same time. So I crashed and burned, didn't I? So be careful that your goals are not in conflict. You can't work a 14-hour day and give three hours a day to your children, because by the time you get home, they're in bed. Please remember that goals can be changed, modified, updated at any time. Case in point, one of my mentors was a high-flying real estate agent in America, as it happens. He decided, given the kind of money he was making, he'd like to have his own private jet. And he set himself a timeline for it. I think it was 3 or 4 years. He achieved the goal. He bought the jet. He had to employ a pilot. Then he suddenly found out all the things that came with owning a private jet. Like the thing has got to be serviced and looked after. Like you've got to have a place to put it, which costs. Okay, you've got to pay the pilot whether you're flying or whether you aren't, etc., etc., etc. And he looked at all of those things, and eventually he said, but why? I can fly first class, not have all this hassle. Yeah, it's cool to have a jet, but why? So he got rid of the jet. Achieving your goals is all well and good, but you may find you outgrow some of your goals over time. Don't be scared to change them. Just don't give up on them. And of course, don't give up too soon. How many of us set goals and then in our first disappointment, the first time our life comes and smacks us in the face, we go, oh, well, that's it. I can't do this. Lastly, think about your goals every day. Let's expand upon that for a little. We talk about visualization. Some of us go as far as a vision board. I like the idea of a vision board because it's something you can hang up and look at. You say, look at your goals, visualize your goals. When you set yourself a goal, like, I don't know, for example, a new car. What new car? Okay, a Toyota Corolla. What color is it? It's going to be my favorite color, blue. Cool. What kind of color blue? I like cobalt blue. Okay, fine. What model Corolla? 1600. Okay, that's fine. When you get into it, what does it smell like? How does it feel to sit in the seat? What's that new, do you know that new car smell? What do the seats feel like? Can't really taste a motor car. What does that engine sound like when you start it up? What's What's your family going to say when they see you in your new Toyota Corolla? What are your colleagues going to say when they see you in your new Toyota Corolla? Your new cobalt blue Toyota Corolla? And of course, you always put your goals in the present tense, right? I am the proud owner of the Toyota Corolla. How does it feel? How does it taste? How does it smell? When you touch it, what's that look and feel like? What does it sound like? That's your vision goal. That's your vision. Try and do that every day for all your goals, to remind you about where you are. Okay, so now we know how to set goals. We know how to visualize those goals. What's the practical steps I can take today to get started? Well, my suggestion is, especially if it's a big goal, play it out to 3 years with pictures, if you can. You want to buy a Corolla today and you've got, oh, I don't know, you've got an overdraft and a credit card that's maxed out. You need 20% deposit. What does a Toyota Corolla cost these days? 200,000 Rand? 250,000 Rand? You need 50 grand in the bank to buy a Toyota, unless you've got a clever way of doing it. Or you can lease one, but then you need to have a salary that backs it up, right? Not something you're going to achieve in a year. Not unless you give up a lot of other stuff that maybe you're not prepared to give up. But if I set a 3-year goal, that can work. Can I have a new Toyota Corolla in 3 years? Yes. Will it cost more? Probably. But in today's terms, it should be pretty much the same sort of scenario, same price. Okay. Then set up your milestones. If you want a 250,000 Toyota Corolla in 3 years' time, and you need 50,000 Rand deposit and a given salary, excuse me, or being able to prove that you've earned enough with your commission, 50,000 Rand divided by 50, what's it, 12, 36 months? It's how much a month? What's the number? 50,000 divided by 30, call it 2 grand a month. 2 grand a month should get you there, right? Can you put 2 grand a month a month away now? Probably not. But could you have 10,000 Rand in the bank by the end of this financial? Probably. That's 800 Rand a month. Can you do 800 Rand a month this month? Probably not. Can you do 200 Rand a month this month? Yes, I can. So this month and for the next 4 months, I'll put 200 Rand away. And then for the next 4 months, I'll put 500 Rand away. And for the next 4 months, I'll pick a number. What's achievable? You reach your first milestone. In your second year, obviously, because you've been setting your goals, you've been looking at them every day, you've been using their precision effect. So obviously your customers love you and they're buying more from you. Suddenly your salary is a lot more than it was, or your commission's a lot more than it was, or your bonus is a lot more than it was. So you can save more in the second 12 months, right? And then in your third year, all those things are still true, and you can save even more in your third year. And suddenly, without you even trying, you're able to own a brand new Toyota Corolla in cobalt blue, with whatever size engine you prefer, etc., etc., etc. What are you going to do today to achieve those milestones and ultimately your goal? I've chosen a car. What about your family goals? What about your spiritual goals? What about your hobby goals? Okay? All of those other things that make your life worth living, that for you define success. So what's the process then? How do we do this? First of all, we need to understand what goals look like and what they are. And by that I mean, define what success looks like for you. What does it look like for you? First, figure that one out. Right? Once you've figured that one out, using the SMART technique, go set your goals in all the areas of your life. Once you've done that, create a vision board, something you can look at every day to remind you why you are on this planet. Don't forget about the precision effect. By helping others, if I help you achieve your goals, you're going to help me achieve mine. That's the bottom line of the precision effect in whatever area of your life you're in. In sales, it's particularly easy. Ask me, I know I've been there. My future is defined by my past and by who I was born to would never have given me the success I achieved, or had no right to give me the success I achieved. It's probably a better term. That could be you. Doesn't matter where you are, as long as you start. You know that Buzz Aldrin had a whole lot of goals when he was 10, 12 years old. One of them was to go to the moon. The other one was to find Noah's Ark. He believes we know we went to the moon. But we also believe that he believes he's achieved finding Mount Ararat, Noah's Ark. He's done it. He's 80-some-odd years, 90-some-odd years old now. Today his goal is to get somebody to Mars. He knows he won't achieve the goal, but he wants to contribute to it. Buzz Aldrin was the second man to walk on the moon. How the heck did the universe conspire to make sure that he was in the right place at the right time with the right qualifications to be the second man to walk on the moon? The world works in mysterious ways, ladies and gentlemen. But we need to go out into it with intent. So again, you've got the definition. What's your success? You've got the way to do it. Smart. Okay. You understand the concept of the wagon wheel and precision. And now we're going to go and sit down and write down our 3-year goals. Create our vision board if that's what floats your boat. Or at least something you can visualize. Set your milestones and go for it. Can I have some sort of a reaction to that? Or am I asking too much today? Anybody? The mics are open, kids. You can talk to me. Sorry if you're upset if I call you a kid, but in fairness, you are a lot younger than I am, right? Thank you, Barnard. Any thoughts, any comments, any thinkings? Anything you want to contribute? Anybody can brag like I just did? Okay. I've got a last video I want to show you, and some of you may have seen it before, because it's certainly a big part of what I like to use in my training. But before I do that, I'm up and open for questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. Anybody battling with some of the concepts I've spoken about? Anybody want to ask a question? I'm going to see what's going on in the chat line, if anything. Oh, okay, cool. It's Barnard's Otter AI doing its work here. Edson, thanks for the hit. Thanks for the fist bump, bud. Everybody cool? Everybody having fun still? Hopefully you've all learned some stuff. Anybody who I've been preaching to the converted here? Heather, you knew this, didn't you?
I did. Fan of the vision board.
Love it. Dawn, any thoughts? Picture out. Sorry about that.
No, no thoughts. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Edson, thanks for the fist bump, bud. You got any thoughts you want to express? Anything you want to say? Listen, this is unfair. I shouldn't be picking on people. Sorry, Edson, and Heather, and everybody else. I apologize for that. All right, then. I'm going to close off with this video, which I found particularly meaningful, and hopefully you'll find it the same. I will not be leaving immediately after the video, so I am available for anybody that wants to chat, and I'll sign off properly at the end of it with telling you about what's happening next week and all those cool things. So don't duck out after the video, all right? Here we go.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and 1 special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down in the mud flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive the freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction to rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the singing persisted. And somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better. If you want to change the...
There you go, folks. That's the presentation for today. As I don't have a master or mistress of ceremonies, person of ceremonies, it relies on me. Oh, heck yes. The link to the videos, you can get the whole presentation as it is. I can't remember where we got it from. But you'll have the whole presentation, and the video obviously will be encapsulated in it. You can pick it up off of our website under alumni, and as people that registered, you'll get the whole video anyway. So please feel free. I think you can find it at Gold Cost, but have a crack. We're not quite sure what we're going to be talking about next month. We've got a couple of ideas in mind. We're starting to move away from pure sales subjects, in other words, how to sell more, how to get more leads and all that kind of stuff, and start moving more into the soft skills that make us all better salespeople. Time management, for example, that kind of thing. Goal setting is another example. Life generally, things that affect salespeople that sometimes get in the way of our success, that are not necessarily skills based. But the date for the next one's on the 21st. Everybody that came today and everybody that registered will get the recording of this session, but they'll also get an invite to the next one. Please remember that it is free to everyone. Feel free to invite friends, colleagues, bosses. Maybe some of the things we talk about will help somebody in your circle achieve what they want to achieve. Folks, set your goals, start your goal setting today, not tomorrow, today. Thank you so much for your time. We've scored 7 minutes, folks. How cool is that? See you all next time on the 21st. Some of you I'll see in the training room, like Justin, in a bit. Take care, folks. Have a good one. See you soon.
Thanks, Sean.